And welcome to round 3 of the JD Couirers Super Sedan Track Championship, coming to you from Speedway City, of course, on the infield. And standing here right next to me is one of South Australia's leading drivers, Andrew Leach. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot.
Now, Andrew, of course, the Super Sedans here at Speedway City always turn on some great entertainment. How's it been from your point of view so far?
Well, it's been pretty exciting. The racing's been good. Tracks have been pretty good. So it's all been going well so far.
They've had a couple of new additions to the field, namely, of course, Shane Best. He's going pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty unbeatable at the moment, isn't he? Not many people can beat him.
Tell us a bit about what actually a Super Sedan is. Of course, we see them on the show each week, but we don't really say too much about what these cars are.
They're basically just a chassis with whatever model car you like, whacked on top, with a special purpose race diff, race gearbox, and they're all basically 350 Chevs, pretty well worked up.
And what was it that actually got you into Super Sedan racing? Was it because you got the tin tops? Is it because of the Chevrolet motors, or what is it?
It was actually probably Kerry McCarthy 20 years back. It was probably his fault that I'm mixed up with it now.
Well, we'll blame him for the money that you spend, but all the best for tonight's action, and of course we've still got another round after this weekend, so all the best.
No worries, thanks a lot.
So the pace car pulling off on the back sheet. We'll go racing here in heat race number 1 very shortly. The South Australian champion Bill Miller on the front row. On his outside is Tony Howlett. Then the former national champion Chris Blunden. And the 18 of Steve Johnson at the back of the pack, the 55 of Graham Stewart. As they go racing through turn number 1, and to have a look at the 15 there, locking up the left front brake as he made his way down through turn number 2. But our leader is a South Aussie champion in the beautiful pink Pontiac. It's Bill Miller. In the second spot in the Ford Thunderbird is Tony Howlett. Then we go back to the 15 of Chris Blunden in the third spot. Blunden now looking to the inside of Howlett as they charge down the back chute. Into turn number 3 and 4, they're side by side. Good racing here for second as they come out of turn number 4. Door to door down the front chute. Can Chris Blunden make the move stick down there in turn number 2? Have a look at the 38 of Howlett. Howlett continuing to hang tough on the outside as they go down through turn number 3 and 4. Now down the front chute, Bill Miller still the race leader, but what a battle for second and third between Tony Howlett and the 1984 Australian Super Sedan champion Chris Blunden. And Blunden now gets the move down there in turn number 3 in the smartly turned out Pontiac Grand Prix. The Ford Thunderbird back there in the third spot. Then we go back to Graham Stewart in car number 55. At the back of the pack, the 18 of Steve Johnson and the Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Nice little battle there for 4th and 5th on the racetrack. Once again, they're heading down towards turn number 3 and 4. Graham Stewart doing a nice job in the Chevrolet Camaro, holding down the 4th position in car number 55. Of course, our leader is still Bill Miller in car number 1. This nice little scrap continues at the back as we cross now to our race leader. And here comes the 15 of Chris Blunden. He is closing in on our race leader. Down past the George Tatnall stand in turn number 2. Past the family stand on the back straight away. Through turn number 3 and 4 past the Speedway City time clock. Great racing here from the Super Sedans heat race number 1. Have a look at the 15 of Blunden. He is closing in hand over fist on our race leader. As they charge down through turn number 3 and 4, a bit of flame out of the side of the SA number 1 machine. Lap starting to wind down here. There's the checkered flag for Bill Miller. Second to Chris Blunden, third to Tony Howlett. And 4th place will go to car number 55, Graham Stewart. And rounding out the field, the 18 of Steve Johnson. Heat number 2 now on the Speedway. Shane Best on the front row along with the 67 of the Barossa Valley Bullet. Steve Vaughan, then the 47 of Steve Stewart back there in the third position, but there's our leader in car number 32, Shane Best, already with a feature race win this season. Former South Australian modified sedan champion. There's car number 34. In the fourth spot, Kim Layson. Rounding out the field in car number 3, it's Gil Wortley. As we have a look at our leading duo, it's Shane Best and Steve Vaughan, 2 Pontiac Grand Prix. Then we go back to the first of the Holden-bodied race cars. The Monaro, the 47 of the 6-time South Aussie champion Steve Stewart. Have a look now at our race leader, the 32 of Shane Best. In his first season of super sedan racing, really has taken the category by storm this year. Ran the entire National Super Sedan Series. Then of course here in the JD Couirers Track Championship, already won a feature race. And he's looking pretty good here in heat race number 2 as he comes out of turn number 4. This car, of course, campaigned previously by Peter Logie out of Victoria, and also the car that Bill Miller won the South Aussie Championship in last year, so a quality race car in the hands of Shane Best. There's a battle for third and fourth as it goes down through turn number 3 and 4, the 47 of Steve Stewart, the veteran, and car number 3 of Gil Wortley in the Holden Commodore. Down the back straight away once again past the family stand. They throw the cars into turn number 3 and 4. As we see now Gil Wortley up the inside. Can he make the move stick? Not quite. As Steve Stewart fights back on the outside. Good competition here. Nice clean racing for third and fourth. As once again they make their way down the back sheet into turn number 3 and 4. The Chevrolet power plants working overtime here in the V8 Super Sedans. Good stuff here as we cross back to our race leader Shane Best. Car number 32. In the second spot, the 67 of Steve Vaughan out of Anguston. There's the checkered flag for Shane Best. Vaughan will take second, Steve Stewart third. Then we go back to the 3 of Gil Wortley in the 30. Heat number 3 now on the speedway. Once again a good looking field. Graham Stewart on the front row. Chris Blunden on the outside in car number 15. Move back to the 18 of Steve Johnson in car number 1 of Bill Miller. As they charge into turn number 1 and 2, and have a look at the 15 of Chris Blunden sliding around the outside to take over the race lead. Down through turn number 3 and 4 they run. Have a look at that aggressive suspension setup on the 15 of Chris Blunden, a new generation bar car. It's set up to lean on the outside of the race car. Have a look at the battle there between the 55 of Graham Stewart and the 18 of Steve Johnson. But our leader is still the 15 of Chris Blunden. Then it's the number 1 of bustling Billy Miller. Nice shot of our race leader as he headed down the back chute. Down past the turn number 3-4 entry here at Speedway City. Nice job from Graham Stewart so far to sit back there in the third spot. Good racing. In fact, a nice little duo here, a nice little pack here of Graham Stewart, Steve Johnson and the 38 of Tony Howlett. Good racing here as they go down through turn number 4 once again. In fact, Howlett made a slight mistake there and dropped off the pace slightly. Down through turn number 1 and 2 once again. Down the back straight away as we cross to our leader, Chris Blunden in car number 15, doing it nicely at the moment. Race car, of course, owned by Chris and his father. Nice to see Blunden back out on the racetrack. Spent a couple of seasons driving for some car owners and hasn't raced all that often. It's good to see him back in a full-time ride here at Speedway City this season in car number 15. And he's showing that he is a real class act. as he heads down through 3 and 4. Once again, the car is set up superbly. There's the 69 of Andrew Leach pulling onto the infield. Rotten luck for Andrew. He'll take no further part here in heat race number 3. But Chris Blunden just out for a bit of a cruise at the moment. Oh, we've got a car heavily into the wall down here on the front straightaway. Car number 55 of Graham Stewart. Oh, contact with Tony Howlett and a heavy impact here on turn number 4. So we have a look at the instant replay. You see Tony Howlett just tried to make the move on the inside. Just a racing incident, just the right rear making contact with the 55 of Stewart. He has heavily made contact with that concrete. Major impact for Graham Stewart, one of the likeable drivers here in this category. And the race has been declared. Heat number 4 now on the racetrack. The good news is Graham Stewart A-OK after that impact in the earlier heat race. We're about to go racing. Gilworthy on the front row. Steve Stewart alongside Shane Best, Kim Layson, and the 67. Oh, Steve, want to tell you what, Kim Layson has drawn some heavy heat races here tonight. He has been in amongst the cream of the crop here this evening. The youngster out of the northern suburbs here in Adelaide. Good to see him out there competing in car number 34. He's hanging tough in there at the moment in the 4th spot. But our leader is Gilworthy in car number 3. Shane Best in the 2nd spot. Car's pretty strung out already here in heat race number 4 as we see the 67 of Steve Vaughan cutting a pass on Kim Layson down there in turn number 4 as they race down past the Greater Gate in turn number 2. Our leader is Gilworthy, doing it superbly at the moment for the Holden fans out there. Of course, the Holden Commodore body, the V8 Chevrolet motor underneath the bonnet. Another one of the Holden bodied race cars back there in the 3rd spot of Steve Stewart, the Holden Monaro. But there's the race leader, Gilworthy. Car owned by Kim Schubert. Doing it very nicely at the moment. There's Steve Stewart trying to hold off the advances of Steve Vaughan. Down through turn number 2 and a nice move there from Steve Vaughan to move up inside the top 3. Our leader continues down the front straightaway, Gilworthy. A really smooth driver. One of the older cars in the field, but he really does get the best out of it. Down through turn number 3 and 4, you can see how smooth the racing surface is tonight. A great service has been prepared from Jeff Harris here this evening. Here at Speedway City, the 430 metre clayway. Down to back chute. Nice lick of flame there from the header pipes from Gilworthy's Chevrolet Commodore. 32 of Shane Best still hanging in there in the 2nd spot. Then it's still Steve Vaughan, Steve Stewart, in the back of the pack, Kim Layson. Doing it nice and easily at the moment is the 3 of Gilworthy. Out of turn number 4, Scotty McIntosh waves the checkers. A nice win there to Gilworthy. Shane Best in the 2nd spot. Then the 67 of Steve Vaughan, followed by Steve Stewart and Kim Layson. So it's finals time now in round 3 of the JD Couirers Super Sedan Track Championship. 20 laps up on the counter, Bill Miller. And the 15 of Chris Blunden on the front row. The pace car pulls off and we're racing into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time as Bill Miller the leader. Chris Blunden there on the 2nd spot. Have a look at the 32 there of Shane Best trying to hustle his way through there on the inside on the exit of turn number 2. Gil Worthley also in there in the number 3. The Holden Commodore trying to work the high side out of turn number 4. The 67 of Steve Vaughan also back there, rounding out the top 5. Our leader is still the number 1 of Bill Miller as they charge down into turn number 3 and 4. Have a look at car number 3 of Worthley. Oh, the 15 of Blunden has spun, and quite a few cars involved down there in turn number 3 and 4. As we have a look at the replay, the 15 of Chris Blunden just got a little sideways, and car number 3 of Gil Worthley just finished him off there in the middle of 3 and 4. Steve Vaughan's rotten season continues in the 67. If there was any car that was going to be involved, it was going to be Steve Vaughan. He made contact with the 32 of Shane Best. Also the 18 of Steve Johnson involved. I think it might be the 34 of Kim Layson also into the fence there in the back of the picture. So on the restart, it'll be Bill Miller to lead them away. Then the 32 of Shane Best. Then the 3 of Gil Worthley's been put back into the 3rd spot. So obviously the officials deemed the cause of the stoppage was not Gil Worthley. Must have thought that the 15 of Blunden was already spinning down there in turn number 3 and 4. It was good to see the number 2 there of Dan Miller in the feature event. Has missed the entire night so far with gearbox trouble. He's started this feature event from the back of the pack, courtesy of the gearbox out of the 55 of Graham Stewart. Of course, you saw Stewart make some heavy contact with the concrete earlier. As soon as that car had hit the concrete, Graham Stewart wanted that gearbox to be lent to the number 2 machine of Dan Miller, so enabled Miller to continue here in the JD Couirers Championship. Of course, he is a defending champion, and what a great gesture from Graham Stewart to allow Dan Miller to continue on here in the feature event. As we have a look at the 4 cars battling for the race lead. Best is now the leader in car 32. Miller in the 2nd spot. Worthley trying to work the outside groove in car number 3. Dan Miller in the number 2. Back there in the 4th spot. This is a great race for the feature event here. Round 3 of the track championship. Have a look at Worthley continuing to work that high side. Big move from Gil Worthley around the top, and he'll take over the 2nd spot as he's gone past bustling Billy Miller. Sitting back there in car number 2 is Dan Miller. Our leader is still Shane Best in car number 32. This is a great scrap as they go through turn number 3 and 4. Worthley continuing to hang in tough on that high side. Will he get the move to stick here as he goes through turn number 1 and 2? They are formation flying out of turn number 2. Fantastic racing here from the Super Sedans. A bit of contact there between Shane Best and Worthley. In fact, Worthley's lost out in that altercation there. He's back to 4th as Dan Miller now looks to the outside of Billy Miller as they go down past the George Tatnall stand in turn number 2. Luckily, the 32 of Shane Best does not have rear vision mirrors. He would be horrified when he sees behind him as he goes through turn number 3 and 4. This is the best Super Sedan feature of the season so far. It's Shane Best, then the 2 of Dan Miller, then the SA number 1 of Bill Miller continuing to work the bottom of the racetrack. Bill Miller really does like to run around the bottom of most of the speedways around South Australia. Has that car set up nicely to run the gutter, but he's doing it pretty well at the moment, but he's faded back to 3rd. He was the pole sitter here. Worthley's still back there in the 4th spot. Our leader is the 32 of Shane Best, looking for another feature race win as we see now. Dan Miller goes to the inside and cuts a pass on our leader in turn number 3. So Miller has not run a heat race tonight, but he leads a feature event. Of course, he has lost a lot of points in the championship. By not running those heat races, he's trying to make up as many points as possible here in the feature, and he leads it quite handsomely at the moment now. Best back to the 2nd spot, Bill Miller in 3rd. Then it's the number 3 of Gil Worthley in the 15 now, Chris Blunden, coming back after being involved in that accident down there in 3 and 4 earlier. Good race now for the 4th spot between Blunden and Worthley. Those two came to blows earlier in this feature event, but they're racing side by side cleaner this time. In fact, Blunden gets the pass in turn number 4. Dan Miller now driving away from the pack. Bill Miller now 2nd. Shane Best back to 3rd in car 32. Nice lick of flame there from the left side of Bill Miller's number 1 machine as he went down through turn number 3. Bit of unburnt fuel on the header pipes. Once again down there in turn number 1, you'll see that when the drivers get off the gas. Trying to just float these cars nicely through the turns. Track a little bit slick, a bit rough in some patches as well, but the track has been pretty good on the whole here this evening. In fact, you just see a little bit of a black groove developing, and most of the cars running around the bottom of the racetrack. That's the reason why the black groove is starting to show up on the racetrack. Bit of rubber now being applied to the racing surface as it dries out in this 20-lap feature event. But it's still Dan Miller pacing the field nicely. Second is still Bill Miller. No relation between those two, I might add. Then it's the SA number 32 of Shane Best, comfortably back there in the third spot. Down through turn number 3 and 4 they run. It's the current South Aussie champion, Billy Miller, leading the pack. The 15er, Chris Blunden, has been a bit of a star in this one. He went to the back of the pack and he's fought his way nicely back to 4th. Coming for feature race win. The previous night is the 15er, Chris Blunden, so he's in some pretty good form. Out of turn number 4. Once again, down through 1 and 2. Our leader, Dan Miller, has gapped the field here, looking for his second round win of the season. Of course, the current track champion, there he is at the bottom of the picture. He's about a straightaway length lead in front of Bill Miller for the second spot. Good battle now developing for third between Shane Best and the 15er, Chris Blunden. Blunden now looks to the outside. About third place driver down the back straightaway, and Blunden just drives by him on the back straightaway. A lot of horsepower underneath the bonnet of that number 15 race car, but Best continues to hang on the bottom side of the speedway. Down through 1 and 2. This is a nice battle for the final podium position. Shane Best versus Chris Blunden, the former Australian champion. But there's the checkered flag for Dan Miller. Second across the line will be Bill Miller. And third will go to Shane Best in car number 32, just ahead of the 15 of Chris Blunden. And there's their winner on the front straightaway, Scotty McIntosh. Hands Dan Miller the checkered flag, and Dan will perform yet another victory lap here as he claims another round of the JD Couirers Super Sedan Track Championship in his beautiful number 2 Pontiac Grand Prix as he heads down through turn number 1 and 2, receiving the applause from a pretty good crowd here at Speedway City to watch the Super Sedans tonight. Round number 3 goes to the defending track champion, Dan Miller, in car number 2. And on behalf of the entire crew here at On the Infield, thanks for watching tonight's episode. And don't forget that the final round of the JD Couirers Super Sedan Track Championship will come to you exclusive on one of our upcoming episodes of On the Infield. Thanks for watching. Good night.